Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio this morning is Mr. Joe Witte as we follow up the Thursday night DeWitt County Board Meeting. Good to see you, Mr. Witte. How are you?
Good, Seth. How are you?
Good. Did you get your car started and not freeze yourself to death out there?
Took a little while to get going, but yeah, good day for layers.
Goodness gracious, it is cold. It is cold. It feels like I don't think we've had a day this cold. I was thinking back to like what a couple of years ago in January. It was like minus 30, 40.
Like we get one of these every winter.
Yeah.
A little shot of that Arctic air, but
just
it'll pass.
Huge cold blast for sure. And snow's on the other side of it. So, heck of a weekend on the way. Well, let's dive into DeWitt County Board Meeting last night, sir. And let's start with some things out of Road and Bridge and some projects moving forward. What's going on here?
Yeah, they had the letting for the Washington Street Bridge project. Last night, we awarded the contract to Stark Excavating. There was an agreement, or actually we had to approve that bid, and then an engineering agreement to make sure that we've got all the monitoring and things that need to go on, the testing. So all of that is now approved, ready to go. We're just going to need to get this cold weather out of here so that we can get started on it.
I think we're waiting on a few projects for the cold weather to move on as well. So no doubt. When it comes to the cost on that, it sounds like from what Mr. Mathon mentioned that it came in below what they were anticipating, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's still a sizable project, right? I think it was $700,000 and some odd for the excavating work and so on, but engineering work, about 93,000, I think that was.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at the end of the day, it's a lot of money, but it is covered through, the fees that we pay, the taxes, the motor fuel tax, and some of that's even reimbursed. But, he mentioned, I don't know if it was in the meeting or after the meeting, I was talking to him. They're anticipating about 50 working days to get that project done. So, if weather does come in and delays them a little bit, they'll be back on it. But once the weather breaks in the spring, I would anticipate that they can get started.
Sure.
You're looking at about 8 or so weeks of work, and then we'll have that. It should be 2026. The end date is 2026. So we're gonna get that one knocked out.
Yeah. And this kind of goes back to Mr. Witte a little bit, revisiting, just kind of the challenges within the engineering department, the highway engineer office, and just kind of a backlog of projects going on. This is kind of the big one that folks have had on the radar for a while. But will we in 2026 maybe start to see some of these projects that are backlogged start to move forward?
Yeah, I'm not sure what else is in the backlog. I know that this was the big one, right? But we've got the help with moving things along in that office as needed, and obviously this was a big one, so it's got to go through the process, right? We had to have the engineering work done to even get the bid packet out, and so I know Mr. Mathon is on top of that, and we've got this one moving forward, and I'm not sure. I know there's the the guardrail effort going on later this year as well. So there's several things that we'll be working on, and again, I'm not sure what they have in their backlog yet. But
gotcha. Sure, very good. So things moving along. Of course, with the towards the end of last year, we heard about the motor fuel tax dollars were finally freed up. Since that point, have we seen the projects that those dollars would have gone towards? Have those projects started to get done, or is that even on something you take to, or about? How about that?
Well, I don't sit on Road and Bridge, so I'm maybe not involved as much in the details of exactly what was being held up by that. I know the big issue and a lot of the pain point was the townships weren't able to access that money either. And so, now that that's no longer an issue, I'm assuming that a lot of those projects have moved forward.
Haven't had people in your ear about it.
No, but
as much.
I think the problem was also that, there was limited time left in the year where you could do some of those projects. So, I haven't heard of the impacts. I know that the townships themselves have had to manage that themselves, but we did what we had to on our side to just try to get the money flowing again and stay ahead of that now.
Gotcha. Very good. Very good. Well, on that note, of course, Road and Bridge, there was one other agenda item, and you'll have to forgive me, Mr. Witte. I've got it here. The agreement for WHKS for construction. What is this about?
That's the engineering agreement to for all the monitoring, the testing for that Washington Street Bridge project. So
got it.
It kind of goes hand in hand. We got to have, we awarded the contract, but then we also got to have the engineering work, and that second agreement was for the engineer.
Sure. Very good. All right. Moving on here. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Oh, let's dive into the ambulance stuff. Increase fees for the and adjusting the pay calendar for is it what is the acronym? PSA, PSI, PSI. Yeah. PSI. What's going on here?
We talked a little bit last year about when we had D in for the budget, even we had an issue with our budget, and we've had some problems with the PSI being able to provide coverage at the same contracted price that we've had them, because their expenses have gone up.
Right.
And I think this was more a adjustment of how and when we pay. We don't collect taxes until that first installment in July, and yet we were based on a December to December fiscal year.
So, right.
We were having to set the levy such that we could have enough in the fund to be able to pay what we need as a county, but we basically through some adjustment to how we pay quarterly. It was going to allow us to reduce that levy a little bit, maybe increase what we're paying so that we don't lose the ambulance service contract that we had. And so we had to formalize that now through a couple of different agreements where we're essentially adjusting the payment schedule to quarterly. That allows us to, pay the larger portion of what we were going to have to pay as taxes were collected, rather than have to levy so much so that we can make that first installment. And
right.
So it is. I think the fees did go up a little bit, but the main change here was the timing of those payments.
Sure. So, is the financial concerns of the paramedic services, is that a concern for you going into this year, or do you feel like this adjusting the payment schedule is going to help maybe mitigate some of those?
It should help mitigate that. It allows us to increase, and we still need to work through that contract with them, right? They're not at a point where I think they are able to cover all of their expenses to the, feel like that they can run a business. That some counties, they're potentially running at a loss, and we need to continue to work with them. I think that's going to be something that has to continue in the coming years. But this was what we could do. We are at a limit of what we can set that levy to collect, and so our hands are somewhat tied there. This was a way to be able to increase a little bit what we were paying for those services, and yet, not exceed what we can even charge from a levy.
Okay.
And, but yeah, the work's not done there. I think this is obviously something that we're going to have to continue to look at in the coming years, and come up with a contract that works for them and allows us to keep their services and yet stay within the tax levy that we're required to.
Very good. Very good. That's Mr. Joe Witte. He's the DeWitt County Board Chair. And dang, believe it or not, Mr. Witte, we've blown through 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and break here, my friend. Come back with some more. Again, Joe Witte, DeWitt County Board Chair, our guest in studio as we follow up the Thursday night DeWitt County Board meeting. More to come with Mr. Witte on the morning show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Friday. I'm Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network. Corn, beans, and Chicago wheat starting the day higher. March corn opening 427 up 3, May corn up 3, 435 and a quarter, and new crop December 453 and a quarter up 1.5. March beans starting the day 1069 and a half up 5.5. May beans up 5 3/4, 1082. New crop November 1082 and a half up 5 1/4. March Chicago wheat 520 3/4 up 5 1/4. May wheat 531 3/4 up 4 3/4. July wheat 543 3/4 up 4 3/4. March bean meal 297.20 up $1, and March bean oil 54.53 up 75 cents. Opening numbers on this Friday morning. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
Happy New Year from all of us here at Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. This is Scott Baum. Most of our customers trade for a different SUV or truck because their needs change each year. That's good because we have transportation options for you. Plus, we need your trade. Our selection of top quality pre-owned trades come from you. Come see our ever-changing Chevrolet and Buick inventory today. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Here's Matt Hart, owner of the Hart Media Group in Clinton.
It's been great. You and Ben and the entire team are doing a great job. And we're just continuing on serving the local community, right? This is what this is all about. We're here to serve our local community. We're here to tell the local stories. We're here to cover the news. So nothing in that regard is changing. Our goal is connecting people. And that's our tagline at Hart Media Group. It's connecting people.
Hart purchased the Miller Media Group in August of 2025 and looks forward to serving the community for years to come.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, Mr. Joe Witte, DeWitt County Board Chair, my guest in studio this morning. We follow up the Thursday night DeWitt County Board meeting. Mr. Witte, talk to me about a intergovernmental agreement with Kane County for juvenile detention. What's this about?
This was, I think, initiated through prosecutor, the county prosecutor, Dave Berry. At least he started some of those conversations where, we get in a pinch where, if we have any juveniles that, we need to detain, that finding a place to house them has been challenging, I think, in recent years. And so this does not commit us to doing anything. This just offers Kane County as an option that if we do need a place to house a juvenile temporarily, we now have a government agreement in place to do that. Now we've got some others locally, I think McLean County and maybe some others, but the challenge has been always getting a place that has available beds. And so this was a recommendation that brought through our I'm sorry, I said our prosecutor, but it's our probation. Yeah. And, again, it's nothing that we are committed to having to use, but if we do, we've got that option now.
Sure. Very good. So I want to ask Mr. Witte, anything from public safety? I know there was the intergovernmental agreement for mutual aid. Pavlik talked about it. Didn't seem like a huge thing. Did you want to mention that at all?
Yeah, I mean, so we had several, I think, intergovernmental agreements last night. And really what that does, you get a smaller county like DeWitt County, we don't have the resources to cover every scenario. Even the juvenile detention was, along those lines. Is we work with the other counties, smaller counties and larger counties alike. The agreement that Will brought forward was more from the emergency management perspective, where if we were to have an event that required resources beyond our capacity, or another local community had an event and they needed some assistance from DeWitt County, this intergovernment agreement provides the framework for lending resources and kind of outlining the responsibilities. We would still be responsible for our people, for our resources.
Mhm.
We're not required to commit anybody to assist if we are going to jeopardize what we can still need to do here in the
Mhm.
county. But you see a lot of these intergovernment agreements just because we aren't able to keep staff at a level where you can cover every possible scenario. This allows us to
Mhm.
bring in other county resources from neighboring counties as needed and
Mhm.
to assist when they need us.
Sure. Very good. So put that on the or voted on that last night and approved it as well. I know the security at the county building, getting an update there. What's going on?
Yeah, our X-ray machine of 29, almost 30 years.
I think
finally
Sheriff
went
said 30
out.
years.
30
Yeah.
years. So, not an expected expense, but we have a depreciation fund for those types of things. Got a quote, and we last night had to declare an emergency because obviously going without an X-ray machine, it does put the county building folks at risk, and it requires additional searching procedures. Kind of slows down the lines getting in. So we approved that so we can move forward and expedite getting a new X-ray machine in.
Mhm.
I think the cost was in the $34,000 range. So they're not cheap, but if they get us another 30 years for the new machine, that's really not a bad deal.
Not bad at all. Very good. Mr. Witte, do you mind if we wrap up talking about the land use, further looking into and drafting revisions to wind and solar?
Sure. So as you're aware, there's the Senate, the state bill that was recently passed that made even more adjustments to the wind, solar, and then the battery energy storage was a part of that as well.
Can you highlight what those changes were?
I haven't been able to look at everything. I looked at kind of the summary,
Okay.
but I think we need to look at it in detail and see specifically for wind and solar. We have ordinances in place. With the changes, our ordinance is still compliant with the state statutes. And if not, what we approved last night was the land use to go through and pick out where those changes need to be made in our ordinances so that we do comply with state.
Okay.
That would go through land use and come directly to the county board. It doesn't have to go through the 3-step process because it's a change to law to comply.
Okay.
The battery energy storage systems was another part of that. We don't have an ordinance for that though. So some of the discussion at land use was to allow that to go through our 3-step process, the RPC, the ZBA, and then to the county board, and allow public to weigh in, with evidence as needed. But
will that be something you get started in February, or how will that work?
Yeah, the RPC starts on that for the non-wind solar compliance.
So the battery stuff,
battery energy storage, and they've got some other things that they have on their plate, and they'll get started on that as soon as they can. I don't think there's as much urgency with that one because if we don't have something in place, then the state statute
is what it
is what we fall back on. But for wind and solar, I'm not even sure that we're going to have changes. I know there were some things in there that we aren't doing today, but it might be more procedural rather than actually in our ordinance.
Okay. Gotcha.
So we're going to take that initial look at it, and if there is something, we'll come forward to the board in a future meeting with those recommendations.
Other than the changes that may come from the state, like we're talking about this morning, do you feel like wind solar ordinances are in a good place?
I think they comply. That's the main thing. They have some provisions in there to where we can to add some additional things that we need to see, and really we're not going to be authorized to do anything with that, because if we were changing something because we felt, and it had nothing to do with the state statute, we wanted to add some additional provisions, that's a text amendment that has to go through the 3-step process. So
Got it.
We're not looking at that.
Well, Mr. Witte, 1 minute here. Give me just kind of a quick outlook to 2026. What are you looking forward to in the year ahead?
We do have several things coming up, especially, we talked about the ordinances for, land use. I know with property, we've got some projects that we are looking at. There's a old diesel tank that needs to be dealt with, and some intergovernment agreements for, animal control. I think in Farmer City, we're hoping to get that going as well. So there's a lot coming up. We'll be busy with each of our committees dealing with, their respective areas of responsibility. And, we did get an update from DC last night. I know there's a lot of good things there. So I think there may be some ways that we'll be looking to help out where we can from economic development as well.
Well, Mr. Witte, we always appreciate you making time for us, and thanks for coming out on this cold morning.
All right,
yeah,
thanks,
very
Seth.
good. Mr. Joe Witte, DeWitt County Board Chair, our guest in studio, following up the Thursday night DeWitt County Board Meeting. Network News on the way.
WHOW.